I've been forgetting to record. Oh man. Okay, so thank you. All right. So yeah, so why do people say no to us? I'm going to backtrack a little bit here because I started the recording again. So the first part is where people say no to you because that's their first initial reaction. So so when you're calling somebody to follow up, I just gave the telemarketing example, but when you're calling somebody to follow up and you ask, you know, is now a good time? They say no. But instead you could say, did I catch you at a bad time? Then their answer is no, right? Which is great because then you just kind of switch that to be in your benefit. So it's allowing them to get that first no out of the way so that then they can open up. Because for whatever reason, human psychology, we have to say no at first. So with that, this is why we've kind of incorporated in some of our 101 classes that you guys may or may not have seen, but is that when you're asking people a question, as you're presenting each oil, for instance, you're asking them a question that allows them to say yes, so that they are in the habit of saying yes, or they're comfortable saying yes to you. So, deep blue, you're talking about deep blue, and, wouldn't this be amazing to help with those aches and pains that you have? Yeah, that would be amazing. So that then when you're asking them at the end, if they want to get a kit, then hopefully they're much more comfortable answering yes to you. So does that kind of make sense as far as the yes and no questions? Stacy, I know we've gone over this before, and Brandy, are you familiar with that kind of idea?
Yeah, I've heard of that before.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, and then the other point that I was wanting to review or bring up today was that silence is not necessarily a bad thing. So when you're closing and you're asking somebody, so which kit would you like? If you were to get a kit, which one would you want? And then they say, oh, well, I would want the Home Essentials kit. And then you say, so would you like to get it? And they don't answer, like right away, that it's silence. What's the first thing that we want to do?
Fill the silence.
Yes, we want to say something and be like, well, it's such a good deal because it's 3 times the amount of oil and it comes with a diffuser and this diffuser is so great. And we start throwing up information on them, or fire hosing. That's a better word. Fire hosing information on them. But anyway, but to just sit on it, right? Because if I've read a few books, salesy, sales 101 books, and one of them says the first one to talk loses. Have you ever heard that?
I haven't, but it makes sense.
Yeah. So the first one to talk loses. So meaning whoever breaks that silence is the one who's deciding, if you will. So if they're the one that talks first, then you're allowing them to make the decision, which will probably be for them to get the kit. But if you're the one who talks, you're basically deciding, and you'll probably end up talking them out of it because we don't know what's going through their minds. So, so silence. So letting them sit in it and allowing them let that silence be uncomfortable and allow them to be the first one to say something, because you have no idea what they're thinking, right? We're just automatically in our minds, we go to worst case scenario and we start coming up with all these excuses for them or reasons why they should get it. And then the other thing is that they do start talking, let them just talk, because sometimes people need to talk something out so that they can either talk themselves into it or decide. That's how they decide. They're talking it out. I am that way. I need to talk things out. Brennan will be like, are you talking to me? And I'm like, no, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to myself.
We do that all the time. But do you know how much we solve by talking out loud?
Yes. And that is exactly it. Yeah, exactly. Because if somebody's talking it out loud, then they're going to end up coming to that decision on their own. You don't need to jump in and add to that conversation. Just allow them to do it. And sometimes, if they're there with a spouse, they'll be talking with that spouse, and sometimes that partner or whatever, and sometimes that can get uncomfortable too. But again, just let them sit and do it. It is what it is. And we have no idea like the relationship and how it works. Like sometimes we want to jump in there because we're like, oh my gosh, we're causing like marital conflict, or you know, we worry about things, right? And we have no idea. So just allow it to be. So kind of just sit on it. Like literally sometimes I will almost like just go and sit on my hands because that helps me like just zip it.
That's because you're a hand talker like I am.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'll sit on my hands and that helps me just kind of.
I still haven't figured out a way to comfortably get through that one. I'm working on that one. Silence is so hard.
It is hard. And you don't necessarily want to, I mean, you can start cleaning up things a little bit if you wanted at that point, but you don't want to too much because then that makes it feel like you're not listening if they're talking, obviously, or that you're hurrying them, right? That they got to hurry and make a decision. So, yeah, it is hard to just sit there and kind of smile. But anyway, so Brandy, do you have any experience with that?
Well, I know in church, then that's one of the things that they've been teaching us is to let because I'm in Relief Society. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but
yeah, we're both
women's group.
Yep, we're both LDS, so you're good.
Okay, and so they tell us, I'm in the presidency, and so they've been teaching us that, it's okay to have silence so they have time to think about things and then share their experiences, because at first, people are more apprehensive.
Absolutely.
So the same thing says, they're a little more apprehensive, but if you just let them, sit there and get comfortable with opening up, then they'll talk more and be more open with you.
That's so true. And there's so many things, the more and more I learn about like doTERRA, like with sales or like missionary experiences, they are so intertwined. It's mind-blowing.
I'm glad you feel that way, because I find I'm comparing my doTERRA stuff a lot with my religious stuff a lot.
Yeah.
Hand in hand, and I just thought it was just a way that I associate it in my head.
No, it's so funny. When I first read through my business training stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm learning how to be a missionary or something. Like, this is so funny. So anyway, so that's good. I'm glad you brought that up, Brandy, because that is so true. We can roll this over into so many aspects of our lives, like be a better friend, better neighbor, a better Relief Society teacher, better at sales.
And like Julia, then we usually like to just talk instead of stopping and listening and letting them have time to talk.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you repeat that? You sound really muffled on my end.
She just said, and just giving them a chance to talk, basically.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yep. It gives them a chance, which is so true, because really we just sat there. I mean, if you think about a one-on-one or a class, I mean, basically it's you, spewing information at them for 30 minutes, yes, they do have little chances to talk in there for sure. But so it's going to take a while for the gears to switch, right? For then now all of a sudden it's your turn to listen and their turn to talk. So silence must be maybe necessary for that transition to take place.
Right.
So yeah, that's good. Good. Well, those are two big things that I think if we could implement that we would do well. So one is asking questions that's going to allow them to say, like, so right up to the bat, the first question, allowing them to say no, but so that it's a positive thing, right? So did I catch you at a bad time? Or I love that one when you're calling somebody, but just any question that's going to allow them to say the no off the bat, but then secondly, allowing them to say yes to you throughout the class about the different oils or products. And then third, allowing that silence, or just allowing them to talk at the close. So yeah, so good. Any other questions or comments? Today's short, but it's big stuff. It's big. It's like things that can be really hard to try to implement.
Well, Cynthia, is this only about saying no, or is this, because one of the things that I hear people saying, it's stuff online that I see also, is if people find out that it's an MLM, then they think it's a pyramid scheme and they are totally shut off by it.
Yeah. So there is trying to think. I think Tasha did a really good podcast on this one. Did you listen to that one? Stacy, I'm trying to remember where it was, and it was pretty short. 3 months, maybe it will be on there. But it was basically answers that question. Like, this isn't an MLM, is it? You know? But, I mean,
Right.
a quick, easy way to explain that is it's just a business model, right? It's just how they've chosen to advertise. I mean, you know that. But I think that's an easy way to explain it to people that they can kind of comprehend a little bit better in a safer way. So you know what? Instead of taking their money and, you know, advertising on billboards or TV commercials or, you know, magazines and whatever else, they've decided to advertise through people. And so they pay us for advertising for them, essentially. So
Right.
that's kind of I feel like a safe way to explain it that people can kind of go, oh, yeah, okay. Because word of mouth is the best. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it could, because it's not a pyramid scheme. There's a big difference between the two of them.
Absolutely.
But some people have it so connected in their heads that no matter how much you try to explain that it's not that and tell them the differences, then they're just like, no, it's the pyramid scheme.
That's so funny. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And usually if anybody says that to me, I'm just like, yeah, no, it's pyramid schemes are illegal, actually. And, you know, sorry. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that after that. Like, this is a $1 billion company where it's not, they're scrutinized a lot. They're definitely not connected with that. What are you going to say, Stacy?
I don't get that a lot, but once in a while I do. And when I come in and start explaining that they're not obligated to sell anything and they can only be a customer, that calms people down, because so many of them think, oh, I have to sell this, I have to have a minimum every month, I have to, you know, and I think that's part of the fear with it. And it could just be where we live, because this kind of thing is very popular where we're at.
Yeah.
Very common.
And I don't get that question a lot either, but a minute, I'm going to try to find this podcast, the exact name of it.
Okay, and I don't get a lot. Mostly I just see online people saying that different companies, like pyramid schemes, and so I was just curious.
Yeah, no, let's see, because I'm trying to. Oh, maybe if I put it in the feed. It's a little bit older, and for whatever reason, it's not searching it. But let me find it, and I'll find the link and I'll send it to you, like in a Facebook message or something. Would that work?
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, because it's a good one, and she addresses that better. And now I wish that I was hoping that if I could look at it, it would kind of jog my memory of what else she talked about in that. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I found it. It's 17 minutes. It's from January 11th. So yeah, so this would be a good. Okay, I remember it now. Okay, so she talks about it. She said, okay, so she's like, basically when people respond negatively to that, it's because they've had a negative experience with a network marketing company, right? Or another MLM. So she's like, so instead of that, relate with them. Be like, see, where does she post this? Oh, so if somebody asks, is this an MLM? And you respond with, you seemed worried about that. Why is that? She says you can't address their concerns if you don't know what they are. Right. So this also potential recruits who won't want to do network marketing. Ask them what happened. Ask them about their experience. Maybe it will be the same on your team, but maybe not. Many times this will be a concern that doesn't exist with the way you help your team as customers, especially if you listen. So anyway, And again, as for is this a pyramid scheme? Again, just be cool. Pyramid schemes are illegal, so your company is not a pyramid scheme. And then she just goes on, like, you have product to show, so therefore it can't be a pyramid scheme. And then ask them. I know what I think of when I think of a pyramid scheme, but I don't want to make any assumptions. So what do you mean when you say pyramid scheme? Because maybe they don't mean the same thing.
I like that, how she says to really understand what they're saying, because if you're trying to guess where they're coming from when they're saying something like that, then it could be all over the board. So I like how she says, tell you why they feel that way. And I love that. Okay.
Yeah. I think you'll really like this podcast because she's got a bunch of really good points on it. And she addresses each of those concerns, like MLM products are a ripoff because that's how people at the top get wealthy. She goes on to how to address that one. And so she talks about Pepsi as an example. So, great. Yeah. So yeah, it's a really good one. So I will, I'll copy that and send it to you. Have you listened to that one, Stacy, or do you listen to those?
I don't even know where to find them.
Oh, I've linked them before in Breathe, Share, Build. I know I've given it a shout out a few times and been like, hey, listen, you guys, these are such good podcasts. She does one every Wednesday, and most of them are only like 15 minutes long, but they're just gems. And I just love how she words it. I love
Tasha. I think she does such good training, and I've done a lot of her stuff, but I've missed a lot of it too. But I have not listened to any of her podcasts, I don't think. Just her training classes.
Yeah, the podcasts are just as good. They're excellent. So, well, I don't know how to do this from my phone, Brandy, so I will have to get on my computer to figure out how to send that to you. But I'll do that. But I think you'll really like that. And then you can check out her other podcasts. She's got a whole bunch of different topics. They all are pertinent to us. And yeah, like I was going to read off a few of them here to you. Like let's see, her last one. Actually, this one's kind of long. How to set goals that don't make you crazy.
Oh, nice.
That one in 3 parts. The real point of social media. How to make more sales in 2 weeks than in the past 2 years. So yeah, she's just got a bunch. And like I said, every Wednesday she puts out a new one. And for the most part, they are pretty short. They're right around like 15 minutes is probably a good average. But once in a while, there's one that's long. Like this one's 51 minutes from yesterday. So once in a while, she's got one that's a little bit longer. But for the most part, they're pretty short, which I love because it's quick and you get some great info and then you're off. So yeah.
It's easy to throw in 15 minutes of your day. It's a lot harder to throw in an hour of your day.
Yeah. Well, and I love that they're downloadable, right? So like if you have an iPhone or whatever, you can download it to your phone and then listen to it whenever you have time. So
is it available for those of us with Android kind of things, or can we listen to it on the computer?
You can listen to it on the computer for sure. And I think you can download them too on your computer so that then you can listen to them whenever.
Gotcha.
Yep. But I love it. It's free and it's good info.
But they don't work on Android phones?
I don't know, because can you do podcasts on an Android?
Yeah, I listen
to
podcasts.
You can, Kaylee, what'd you say you can?
I'm pretty sure I did on my old Android too before I got my iPhone.
Okay. I haven't had I switched over to iPhone a few years ago and I didn't get into podcasts before then, so I had no idea. So yeah, so there you go. Then you probably could. So you could get the app and then follow her channel, and then you'd get a little alert every time that a new one came up. But it's every Wednesday that she.
So she actually has an app for it.
Well, there's a podcast app, and then you can follow certain channels.
And there should be a podcast app for Android that's different than the podcast for iPhone.
Yeah.
I believe. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure there was one.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, they usually are different.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that sounds right. But I'm sure that you could still follow. Usually what you do is follow like certain podcast channels, and then it alerts you when there's a new podcast that's been uploaded to that channel.
I've never done a lot of podcasts. I've listened to a few, but not very many.
I never had either until I got connected with her, because I was like, well, first I recorded a podcast with her, and I was like, oh, I don't even know what I'm doing.
They have, the guy who runs Operation Underground Railroad?
Yeah.
He has one too that I listen to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then there's another one that's like this Christian network marketing mom or something, and she just does like super inspirational biblical posts every week.
Yeah.
Really
So
too.
is that Tasha's group?
I want to say it is, because I think I got it from her, and then I clicked and started following.
Yeah.
I can't remember what her name is right now, but
Is it Kim Hazen?
I think so.
Yeah, so that's with Tasha's group too. So yeah, so she like kind of co-founded this kind of like a nonprofit type Christian, it's called, what is it? Christian Network Marketers something, but community. And yeah, they wrote a book together, which is it was really fun. I liked that. And then, but it's really good, just a basic Christian based, non-denominational. I read the book. What is it? Bearing Fruit. I bought that and read that one.
That's what she said. Yeah, it was Bearing Fruit.
Yeah, it's really good. But I didn't know they had a podcast channel as well. I know they have a Facebook group that they do. But anyway, it's kind of fun. I like that it puts it in like a religious aspect on it, which is funny, because we were just talking about that, Kaylee, before you hopped on.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, we were talking about how a lot of this relates to like missionary work and church stuff for us too. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I was asking Brandon what the subject was today, and then I was like, oh my gosh, you posted it half an hour ago. I've already been on for 10 minutes, and I missed it.
And it was a short one. We were kind of over it in like, not over it, but we kind of went over all of the meaty stuff in 15 minutes.
Well, we were driving today because we have to run up an hour and a half to dental. So we were driving, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to take notes this morning, so I'll just listen and then try to catch it tonight, because we won't be back till like 8 o'clock. And I'm like, so
shoot.
I'll just watch it, try to catch it tonight then.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. It was short and sweet. But so yeah, so any other questions or comments at all before we end?
I think I'm good for right now.
Did you say you think you're good, Brandy? I missed that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. I'm trying to set up an online party, but I don't want to take up time here with that, so I may have to contact you separately.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yep, let me know. Today's a little craziest, but crazier or whatever. But let's see. Let me look.
Well, I have to help me out, so.
Oh, good. Tomorrow, though, I'm very open.
Okay. Then
Today is
I'll
like one of
save up
those
my
days where I
questions.
have things scheduled back to back from now until I go to bed. But
Yeah.
but tomorrow's nothing. So I only have one appointment at 10. The rest of the day is open.
All right, that sounds great then.
Yeah. Good. Cool. Okay. Well, Kaylee, we'll see you tonight. And then, yeah. Thanks for being on, ladies. As good as always. And then, Brandy, I will send that. I'm going to go figure out how to do that right now and send that that podcast link to you in a PM. And then, Stacy, I will tag you in an old Facebook post on Breathe Share Build that has that link to it. So hopefully you can get connected with it. Okay. Sounds good. Have a great day, guys.
You too.
You too. Thank you. Bye.